Travis and Tarrell had to take the rig to the shop today because they want something different. I'm John Holmes with Holmes Hobbies, and today we are going to switch out the motor on this K5 Blazer custom build. So in about a month from today, filming day, USTE, the Ultimate Scale Truck Expo, is going to be going on down in Florida. And it really is a scale truck expo, and a truck like this is just perfect for their trails. Maybe it can't make it up some of the most steep portions of it because, man, this thing is heavy and it's got a lot of weight that, I probably need to add a little bit of weight to the front axle for some of it, but that's not what we're going to do today. I'm getting sidetracked here. What I need to do is switch out the motor. It currently has a Crawlmaster Pro 11 turn in it that I run on 2-cell LiPo. And I run it on 2-cell because it's pretty dang fast. This is actually the very first 11 turn Pro that I ever wound. Essentially, I wanted to see how's it gonna do. And of course, as you know, we offer it as an actual option today. But I want to be able to tow this guy as well. I've got a trailer that has an old XR10 axle underneath it. So the trailer is actually going to be powered and it's not going to put a lot of load on this. However, I want to make sure that this can actually tow it in case I don't get a really good tune on that rear axle. Or maybe, let's say the motor fails, or maybe I don't even put the motor in because I can't find my gear covers for the XR10 axles. Or maybe I'm too lazy to put in the motor. Whatever happens, maybe another trailer in the future. Whatever happens, I want this thing to be a really good towing rig. And right now, I'm kind of torn. Revolver Classic 1450 kV, which I know is going to do the job, or a Crawlmaster 10-pole stubby, which would be 1800 kV. I'm leaning towards the Revolver right now. Let me know in the comments what you would use for this. I could probably fit a 550, maybe not. The Magnum would be a good tow choice, but they run a little bit hot because of how much material is inside the same size can. It doesn't heat shed quite as good. Brushless is going to be a more efficient thing, so I'm kind of leaning towards brushless for this. So many options, and none of them are wrong by any means, but I'm really thinking that Crawlmaster, just because it's the right KV. I might change my mind and would do 1000 kV, maybe, depends on how the ESC reacts. So I'm really just kind of putting off taking this rig apart, and I'm talking about it instead because this thing is a bear to work on. It's a scale rig. It is not meant for access. I've got to drop the transmission and all my scale stuff and paint chips, and oh god, this thing is dirty. All right, we're gonna clean all that up real quick. We got some scale trail debris. We got some paint chips. Yes, we're gonna. There we go. Oh, and I'm gonna take this out of the trash. Little tip: if you buy any Polar Pro motors, or even the Crawlmaster here, inside the package, let me just show you the package. There is this little insert on top for packaging. And I actually keep all these inserts. I throw most of these away because I've got enough of them. But these are really good for building, for sliding in your battery tray or whatever. I mean, I've got stacks around here. I've got stacks of them around here. So yeah, just a little heads up while I'm building. May as well give you that little tipperoo that I do. So now, all right, back to the thing that I'm avoiding is taking the transmission out and just hoping that there's enough room to slide it out without getting the motor, and yeah, it should slide through. All of this is metal, everything. That's why it's so heavy. That's why it's so fun to drive. So, all right, nothing to it but to do it. Hopefully I have all the right sizes. That one's correct. And of course it uses a different size on the other side. There we go. So, should be able, I'm hoping, to unbolt this. Sideways mounted transmission. Oh, we got some bolts hiding underneath. We'll slide it out, and then I will swap the motor. You know what we need is I need something fresh to put my parts in for this one build so I don't get them mixed up. Yes, one of the dozen Aviar G-Star 175 gram discs that I have. My favorite putter. Typically I will use a 168 gram putter. Just like how it flies a little bit better. Don't need quite as much arm speed. But if it's windy outside, the 175s fly a lot better. And if I'm using the putter as a driver, you know, anything less than 200 feet, I can push a putter there, no problem. So I'll use the 175s. And sometimes, at least ideally, we would keep both putters in the bag. Usually I just keep one putter, my actual putter, and then maybe I use just a low speed disc instead. But tangent. I really love how this just has nuts backing it with not enough room to get in there and keep them from spinning. And of course we Loctited them, as you should always do. So this is going to be really difficult. Oh, yep, got that one. Like I said, this rig is not meant to be easy to work on. It's meant to look good and drive terribly, which I'm cool with. Because really, I don't drive it hard enough to have to work on it much, so, you know, that works out. It all works out in the future. And I'm gonna have to clean up the wiring on this, I guess. There we are. Now, moment of truth. Does this thing just slide right out? We're gonna have to take the drive shafts off. Oh, look at that, look at that. Just look at it. All right, ESC. The ESC is holding everything in. Is my ESC hiding in my receiver box? Let's find out together. And very typical of me, I only put in 3 of the 4 screws. And indeed, we have ourselves an ESC hiding in this box. You know, perfect spot for a motor speed controller. This is what looks to be, oh, it looks like I did actually switch this thing out. Oh man, oh, I don't know if we can get a close-up, a little zoom on that Dean's plug in there, but it looks like a mouse has been eating on it or something, or maybe originally was taken apart with pliers. Who knows? All right, I'm gonna have to desolder. I'm gonna have to desolder to get this motor out. I did a number. This motor is actually in an old sport can. I went to Nationals one time and I want to say maybe I did bring this truck for the testing on the 11-turn Crawlmaster. And just so nobody knew what I was testing, I threw it into an old sport can. What is now known as the Experts, Crawlmaster Expert, or what is this? It was the yellow label. I forget what the yellow label signified. We're going to have to take a peek if that was Torque Master or Crawlmaster. It was... Oh, no, I cut the sticker off so that nobody would know what it was. Sneaky, sneaky. All right, we're going to have to desolder this. There is no other option. I mean, my beard's getting long. It's starting to hit the lav mic. And what are we using here? 18 tooth pinion. You know, I could pinion down some, especially considering this is going to be a tow rig. Might be a good idea. While I am at it, I'm waiting for the soldering iron to warm up. Pinions. What's your favorite opinion? All right, all 32 pitch in there. Yeah, all kinds of spur gears. Let's see what kind of spur gear we have on here right now. And of course we installed it. 87, good, good, nice and big. We want the biggest spur gear possible. And this hides somewhere. Where'd my other bag of them go? There it is. Very nice, very nice. All right, looking for smaller 48. All right, there's a 15 tooth, that is smaller. 15 tooth, 32 pitch, 15 tooth. Evidently I got lots of 15 tooths in here, which that'll work, but we'll see what we have first. There's a 14. And this one is even smaller, maybe? Is that another 14? That's a 13. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. We'll make sure that it meshes. Yeah, it doesn't mesh really well. Let's try this. 14. Oh, much smoother. 13s are kind of small, to tell you the truth. And what I would always prefer to do, if possible, is to have a spur gear and a pinion gear that has an even and odd amount of teeth. And the reason for that is if there's any odd wear on the teeth or a bad tooth or the concentricity of the spur gear being an issue, which it looks like the spur gear is, oh, it's in bad repair. I may switch that out too. Yeah, that thing's munched up. At any rate, what I was talking about, even and odd. If you have an even and an odd combination, then you will make sure that any given tooth is going to contact your spur gear on a different tooth over and over and over and over again. If you have an even and an even or an odd and an odd, there's a high chance, you have to do the math, that the same tooth will end up contacting the same tooth on the spur gear over and over and over, especially with an even and an even combination. And over time, that can actually lead to trouble. If you have, you know, let's say a rock get into your spur gear and it kind of munches up a tooth, it's going to always be in the same place, and you'll have this sort of lurching that starts to happen. You'll have an uneven pinion mesh, and it won't fix itself over time. Whereas if you have a combination of even and odd teeth on it, there is a chance that it could wear itself back in and you won't have long-lasting damage to either the pinion or the spur. Doesn't always work out so well, but I have learned over the years, long story longer, that doing a combination that is not integrals of each other and that is even and odd just tends to be smoother. And like you just saw, I chose the 14 tooth pinion because it rolled smoother on this particular spur gear. There we go, desoldered. I think that'll be all our soldering for today. And let's see what armature. This was a straight armature. I'll take that apart another time, but that's an old motor there. That, oh man, 7 years? At least 7 years old? Yeah. All right, so solder splashes. Let's get that solder splash out of here. Now we can turn her upside down. Lose our transmission onto the table. And now, hopefully, we can pull out the BRXL that's hiding. Now, since I'm going to use the revolver, here we go. Look at that. Oh man, this is an old one too. This is back when I used to use a 2-part encapsulating compound. Not so old as to be the epoxy, because used to we didn't even use a plastic case. This was before Castle went to a plastic case that we could pot in. That was actually my request of them. I was like, come on guys, like just make it where we can make it waterproof within it. At any rate, yeah, I used to use a 2-part silicone, and yeah, it shows its age. Still working. All right. So now we have Dean's plugs. Let's see if Dean's plugs get in and out of that hole. All right, we got to pull these wires. I'm gonna have to rewire this entire rig. I'm running an old Futaba. Again, to show the age of this rig, I used to be sponsored by Futaba, and this was one of their very first brushless servos. Oh, it's so hard to read. Oh no, this is the cordless one, S9156. You know, back in the day when 300 ounce inches was considered crazy. Hey, and a random twist tie. That's nice. Very nice. All right, so we got that out. Drive lines, they're secure. Oh man, big old gaping hole. Big old gaping hole. I'm gonna want to switch out my plugs on this. I'm gonna have to do a lot of work to it. And yeah. And I'm getting hungry for lunch now, so we're probably gonna have to stop it. But I just want to see. We'll do a quick mesh. We'll at least get the motor onto the transmission with this 14 tooth. As you can see, quite a bit smaller than that 18 tooth. We could do the math. 4 divided by 18 is going to give our increase in ratio. There we go, about right there. Make sure we get our pinion depth correct. We don't want the set screw to be rubbing. And this one actually has a shoulder that is larger than the major diameter or mesh diameter of the gear. And that makes it where we can't move it over too much. As opposed to this one, maybe you can tell on the camera, the pinion teeth are taller than the shoulder here. So we can, there's actually a lot more room to work with on the pinion mesh. Whereas this one, we got to get it just right. We don't want it to be too far over. We don't want the set screw to hit, because the set screw will definitely hit. And let's see, I do have to figure out how the wires are going to go. So we'll just do a quick bolt in and see. We'll have to put this in the rig to see how it sits. All right, it should be like so. Just like that, up and down. Okay, so it's going to be sitting in the rig just like this. And we want our wires to not be in the way. We've got the seats to deal with. And I guess this would be one reason to use an in-runner instead of an outrunner, but I want a low KV. And outrunners are the king of low KVs in towing. So I'm just going to have these wires coming directly up. We will pretend that it is a really cool amp or something like that. You know, although I may be able to do it like this. This is one of those rigs you just gotta play with. Just gotta bolt stuff in, take them out, and you know, I could put it sideways, but that's going to be in the way of the drivers and the passengers. So yeah, for now, just for now, I'm not too keen on the looks of having the wires coming straight up into the cab, but that's what we're going to do for today. I can always redo it later. This mesh is a lot closer. I don't think I could use a smaller pinion. I don't know if that 13 would actually mesh. So what I'm doing now is I'm checking the mesh throughout the entire rotation. It doesn't have any play to it, so I'm actually going to loosen that just a smidge and then retighten it after giving it a little spin, a little spinny spin. And I can already tell you now that it's smoother. You want to have just a teeny little bit of play. And if you have concentricity issues of your spur gear, it's going to get tight and then it's going to get loose and then tight and then loose. We want to make sure that it's not too tight when it's tight and then not too loose where it's loose. But we want to find that loose spot and make sure there's just a tick of play. Which there's a little bit. I'll have to really spend some time on this one. But, all right. Let's see if we can at least get this in there and then have it not rub on the interior. Cool, so that's how it's gonna sit. We'll put in a 1 screw. Just to hold it, just for testing. Perfect. So that really isn't too bad. All right, maybe you can see in there. I'll get our hood down. We got our wires just coming straight up. You know, honestly, that's not too bad. I could put a wire loom on there or something like that. You know, we can already see the motor. And I just want to make sure it doesn't rub on the seat. We're going to be able to see that motor spin. That's going to be beautiful to look at. Nice. I'm going to use a Crawlmaster ESC. The reason why I definitely want a low KV is with the Crawlmaster ESC. The Crawlmaster Mini is a fairly small ESC. I could grab the version 2 from another rig, but I also want to bring this rig, and actually this is going to be what it's towing. Oh, good. It's going to be towing this rig, and I don't want to yank the ESC from this rig just to put it in this one so that I have to install another one. You know the routine around here that I just love stealing from myself, and it always just makes more work. So I'm going to avoid that this time. We're going to use a version 1 Crawlmaster Mini in here, and with a low KV, it should just be fine towing. And if it's not and it smokes, I'll have extra parts with me, and maybe I can tow this rig with that rig if it breaks on the trail. That rig has so much gear down. I need to do the calculations, but y'all have seen the video. It's super slow. I love driving that thing. But it's also a little much for USTE. It's too capable, if you will. So, yes. All right, we're gonna stop there. Let's do a little side shot of, let's see. Yeah, there you go, there you go. You can see how that motor is. We'll give her a little spin. You can see the can. You can see the can spinning in there, maybe. Yeah, that'll be fun to watch, especially with the Crawlmaster ESC. It goes so slow on startup that you'll be able to literally watch the revolver going round and round, and I kind of like that. That's fun. All right, I will have to continue with this later. I'm getting super hungry right now. I haven't had my second breakfast. What about second breakfast? What about snacksies? What about second snacksies? Yeah, it's time for second snacksies. Yeah, we'll continue with that. I'll do a little bit of testing before we go to USTE, so we'll just do a little build series on this and get her fixed up. Also should mention before we sign off here, I couldn't remember for the life of me what wheels these were when I originally put it together, and they're the TGH heavy offset wheels. I had to use the HOs just so I could get that nice track width that I wanted, and had totally biffed originally on remembering what those were. I felt really bad about that, but at the time they were very new, and I had bought a bunch of stuff at USTE, and I had forgotten if these were the wheels that I bought there or not, and they weren't. And they all need tightening as well. Yeah, cool. Man, I'm looking forward to this. This is gonna be a fun trip. Can't wait to meet anybody new at USTE this year and see all the old faces. If you're gonna go, let me know in the comments, and I'd love to go on a trail ride with you. So, as always, I thank you for tuning in today. Hope you had fun watching me wrench on this incredibly weird old rig. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Have a good day.